I've known a lot of real good men. Grad school or no school, I've called them my friends. I'm somewhere in the middle, and that's just fine. No, I don't give a damn how much money you make. If your last shirt has pockets, take all you can take. I'm going out with nothing like I came.
Okay, this is our season 1, episode 4, and like last week I talked about having a special guest, and she showed up here in the garage, and we work our way through this. Anyway, Miss Suzette, and Miss Suzette, would you tell us about you and where you grew up?
Yeah, so hi Bob, hi Kara.
Hi.
I love being here in the garage with you all. Thank you for inviting me. Always a great place to drink beer, and the weather's beautiful today, despite the rain. So let's see, I was born in Wichita, actually. My parents met in Wichita. One was from southeast Kansas and one from just outside of Wichita, and they met there when they were youngsters. And, so I was born there, but we moved to Tulsa when I was 2 and grew up in Tulsa. So I was there until I went to school. We were in East Tulsa, by the way. My parents bought a house in East Tulsa because they were told that was the way Tulsa would grow, and then it never grew. It grew like another mile, but it grew south instead of east. So I'm an East Tulsanite. And then I went to school at Oklahoma State, and so I left Tulsa when I was 18, and I never moved back, really. So pretty much.
Yeah, what high school in Tulsa? Was it Tulsa East Central or?
East Central,
yeah, okay,
is where I went to school. The big building with no windows. It's like
that's awful.
It's like a
sorry.
I mean, you look at it seriously, Carrie. You have to go look at East Central because you look at it and you're like, this cannot be a school. It literally looks like it's a federal penitentiary. If it had fences around it,
that's
no
awful.
windows. No windows.
Really, I would go nuts. There's no way.
It was so bizarre, and I've never seen another school ever that doesn't have windows. It has windows like in the entry area. There are no classrooms have windows.
You'd think that'd be a safety hazard.
You would think. Yeah.
Is it still open
back then? It's still open.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
going strong. So you went to Tulsa East Central. Then where did you say you go to university at?
So I moved to Stillwater when I was 18, and I went to school at Oklahoma State. Spent 6 years in Stillwater. Loved every minute I had there. It was wonderful. Got my bachelor's and master's degrees there in political science, and then I moved to Georgia, to Athens, Georgia, where I went to school for my PhD at the University of Georgia. Before I happened to get a job at the University of Oklahoma and come back to Oklahoma. So I never in a million years thought once I left Oklahoma that I would actually come back to Oklahoma. And I did. And I brought my 2-year-old. So it's really bizarre. Like my parents moved here when I was 2, and then I moved back here when my kid was 2.
That's
she was
cool.
born in
I didn't
Athens.
realize that.
Okay, and you have a PhD, correct? And where did you get the PhD?
Yes, so I got a PhD at the University of Georgia.
Okay.
Georgia Bulldogs.
Okay, and what was your thesis over?
Yeah, so I'm a political scientist, but I study international politics, and my dissertation was on Ukraine's decision to give up its nuclear weapons. So this was back in the 90s.
Crikey.
I graduated with my PhD in 1997. Hannah was 9 months old at the time. And
wow.
I was in a hurry to graduate because I had a 9-month-old, and I was like, I need to pay bills, so I need to get a job. But yeah, I spent most of the early 90s in the former Soviet region, in Ukraine, in Russia, in Belarus, and again, never thought that 20 some odd years later, 30 years later, that we would be Ukraine and Russia and everything would be back in the headlines.
Yeah, complete circle, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of, and I don't study that region anymore, really. I just read the news about it, but I don't write about Ukraine anymore. But it's interesting thinking back about this question of why they would give up their nuclear weapons and how everyone who, a lot of people were worried that they would one day regret that because it made them vulnerable potentially to their neighbor Russia, and I think that's exactly what happened. Yeah,
exactly. So when you left Georgia, you went to international, correct?
When I left Georgia, I actually moved here.
Okay, here. Then you got the job here in Oklahoma.
I got the job here in Oklahoma.
Okay.
Here.
Gave you an opportunity to travel internationally.
And then I traveled all the time doing research, first as a start, what we call an assistant professor, early in your job before you have tenure. And so I traveled, to 50 plus close to 60 some odd countries
Oh,
doing
wow.
research and teaching. And Hannah went with me to about 30 countries.
Gotcha. That's
Before
cool.
she
Wow.
graduated from high school in 2015, I think she graduated from high school, she had been to 30.
Just out of curiosity, what is there a country that stands out being, quote, your favorite?
Well, I have a couple of favorites. Well, Italy is where I spent a lot of my time. I built a program there for the university, and so Italy's really close to my heart. It kind of feels like home. I have French heritage, so I love France, of course. But the country, I think I don't know, for some reason, Brazil is a place where I got there the first time, and I just felt like I was either Brazilian in a previous life, or I'm going to be Brazilian in a future life, or something. I just love Brazilian people. There's no place on earth that is as diverse and beautiful as Brazil, in my opinion. So that's one of my very, very favorite countries.
Right. Italy, the language is what, Italian or Latin, correct?
Italian, yeah.
Yeah, and
They
did
speak
you
some Latin, I think, at the Vatican. Italian.
fluent in Italian?
I mean, I don't know that I could say I'm fluent in any other language other than sarcasm. Pretty fluent in that. But even English, I struggle every now and then. I studied Russian the longest.
Really?
Went all through my undergraduate days and my graduate school days. So I spent about 8 years or so studying Russian. And then I spent a good amount of time in Russia, Ukraine, and using the language. But once I was gone from there, it's still in there somewhere. Like every now and then I'll be looking for a word in another, like I'm studying French now mainly, and I'll be looking for a French word, and then a Russian word will come out of my mouth. But when I moved to Italy, I had studied Italian for about 6 months or so before going to Italy, moving to Italy. I'd been to Italy several times, and then I moved to Italy. And so, from being there, I mean, I understand it very well. I understand a lot of languages really well. Like if I know the context, if I know what is being said, I can pretty much follow along. But it's speaking it, right? That's really hard.
If you can pick up some certain words and put it in context, okay, I know what you're talking about.
Exactly. And and I know pleasantries in a lot of different languages, like being able to say hello and goodbye and please and thank you and where's the bathroom and all that kind of stuff.
I need a beer.
Yeah, beer. I know beer in a lot of different languages.
That's what I was going to say. I'm fluent in please bring me a beer in a lot of languages.
Beer and the bathroom. Those are the two words that you just have to know wherever you go. I would say that Italian, other than French, is most recent language that I've studied. But Russian was the language I studied longest. And then I did live in China for a little while, and I studied Chinese for about 9 months before I moved there. That's really, really hard. The only thing that really sticks in my head is da pigu. I remember that, and that means a butt head. So you can tell my Chinese language really stuck with me. You can call somebody a butt head in China.
Yeah, and when you was in Brazil, did you, and that's Portuguese, correct? Did you pick that language up similar to
I started going to Brazil after, of course, I learned Italian. And I had studied some Spanish, too, because I also worked in Mexico for a little bit. I started programs in both Brazil and Mexico, so I was studying mainly Spanish for that and a little bit of Portuguese. Again, I mean, I was able to ask where the bathroom is. And,
exactly.
what the beer is. But Portuguese is I really enjoy Portuguese, and I have it on my Duolingo, but I'm spending most of my time now with French.
Yeah, I'm going to jump back to Italy. Some of our dearest friends have been to Italy several times, and
they got married over there. So
yeah, even got married over there, and they've taken several vacations over there, and they mention all these different places to go. I've never been to Italy. I've been to Europe several times. What are your favorite cities in the country of Italy?
So first of all, we absolutely must get the two of you. Carrie, you've not been to Italy either? Okay, so whenever you go to Europe next time or whatever, we've got to get you to Italy. I'm the best Italian tour guide, so I'll definitely meet you there and show you all of my favorite places. So I lived in Tuscany, so I have an affinity for Tuscany. I lived in Arezzo, which is just a little bit south of Florence. I'm a huge Florence fan. And Siena, which I know a lot of people who know Italy are going to cringe because it's either you're a fan of Florence or a fan of Siena. You're not both, but I love the whole Tuscan region is just my favorite. The best wine.
I was going to say, is the wine just incredible?
Yeah, I mean, just the geography. It's just I'm definitely a Tuscanophile. But I'll tell you my favorite city in Italy, really. And the one place I will always go back to is Rome. And I don't know, I can't really describe necessarily what it is about Rome, because I've had some really difficult times in Rome. My father had a stroke when I was in Rome, and I had to rush back home. I lost a student who was also very close to my daughter when I was in Rome, and I had to come back home. And so I've had some difficult moments when I was in Rome as well. It's a bit of a bittersweet location for me, but there's something about that city that, again, it's kind of like when I arrive in Rio, I just feel like I'm coming home. And I mean, as soon as I see the landscape as I'm flying into Rome and I see those kind of dusty brown and green, landscapes, and then the white travertine and the red terracotta. I mean, it's just such a beautiful, beautiful place.
Wow.
It's really
I'm just sitting over here going,
hard to describe.
I want to
know.
go.
It's you got to go. So we got to get you to Italy for sure.
In high school, history was one of my worst subjects. I said, why in the world do you want to study history? I said, I'll never do anything with history the rest of my life. Well, now that's one of my favorite subjects, history, then especially European. And, here it's, say, 200 or 300, 400 years old. Over there it's thousands of years old. And like Rome would be absolutely, to know the history and some of the things and some of the famous people that walked is just be amazing to me.
Yeah,
So
you will love it. You really will love it.
we got it on our
it's
bucket
incredible.
list to go there.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
So what, I know you was at OU and you've been there several years.
How many years?
26 almost.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm in my 26th year. It'll be, I started in January of 1999. So
Okay.
6th anniversary this January.
We're going to kind of segue in how we met. I'm an old country boy from Lindsay, Oklahoma. I met Kara 15 years ago, and she's from Midwest City. We got together and ended up being married. Been married 12 years, and we still have we enjoy drinking craft beers, and this is kind of what led for us meeting Miss Suzette. Is we got to go in places in Norman. We went to a few places, and I said, I found a place called Equity. I don't think we've been there, and we kind of checked it out, and they allowed dogs, and we got Sadie, and I've already mentioned Sadie. She goes with us. We call it Sadie Date Night on Wednesdays. We found Equity. We walk in with the dog. Can we have dogs? Oh, Miss Suzette was there. And, oh, absolutely. And she brings her Sadie a little biscuit treat and talks to her. And I said, Kara, man, that lady's pretty nice. She was busy. She's back and forth working. I said, man, she's a worker too. And I think I had enough time and called her over a second. I said, who owns this place? She said, I do. And I said, well, we introduced ourselves and told her that we like beer, we like craft beer, and we like the opportunity to take our dog places and where the dog would feel wanted. That was pretty much in the conversation at the time because she was busy. She was moving about and such as that. And you got to add
Oh, I
something?
totally agree. No, I instantly fell in love with Equity. The environment, the vibe, the open airiness of it, the general feel of it, above and beyond from day one. And we many years together, but day one, she had the greatest selection of different
And the beer, yeah,
beers.
Heck yeah.
absolutely, the beer
Beer's
was
good.
good. I mean, that's why we went there in the first place, and that's why we stayed there at the last place.
Yeah, I'm not dissing any other local beer brewery, any of those. I mean, there's several in Norman that are absolutely fantastic, but I'm never ever going to say I don't think, unless something else comes along like Equity, that there's anybody that brewed beer like Suzette. The selection was unbelievable, clean and good.
Moving on from, we got to go in there every Wednesday, and Miss Suzette was there every Wednesday that we were there. She's hustling, bustling about, and I noticed that she had a little wooden box sitting over in the corner near the floor, and the part was broken. I had enough time and called her over. I said, I see your box is broken. I said, I do woodwork, and if you don't mind, I'll take it home. I'll fix it for you. She said, heck yeah, that'd be fine.
Somebody fix something for me?
Yes, we do something for
Is there
me,
anything else I can
please.
send home with you to fix? Yes, please.
So,
Where it began.
Yes.
and that's kind of where, so I brought it home. I fixed that box, and I said, I made it more sturdy than it was, and I said, I think I'll just go ahead and make her another one, or heavier wood. And so I made her fix that one and made her another box and took it to her the following Wednesday and presented it to her. And she said, oh my God, you didn't have to. I love doing woodwork. When I got the time, I retired and I really enjoyed doing it. She said, oh hell yeah. So anyway, we keep going on the Wednesdays, and one of the Wednesdays comes up, and I got to ask, at one time there was a younger gentleman that I noticed he's back there helping you brew. You'd kind of go back there and talk to him, and he was doing the brewing, and you was doing all the other stuff in between. And he finally decided he wanted to move on. So that's when I said, "Do you need help? You need help doing anything with the brewing?" He said, "Well, yeah, I could use somebody to help grind grain. You can help put the stages of the water in, mix it up, and do all that." I said, "When did I start?"
Bob ended up on the beer payroll.
So anyway, I got the
Literally.
Yes.
I said, "Well, you just tell
Will
me."
you work for beer? Yes, you're
Yes.
hired.
Yeah. Anyway, to coordinate with her, I said, "What time are we gonna mix the grain?" And she'd have her grain bill.
Grain bill, yeah.
Yeah, grain bill all worked out, and she said, "Here's what you need to mix." She took me up in the grain room, showed me the grain machine, and I kind of looked it over and saw how they do it, and I said, "I think I can make a few little adjustments to this grain."
So then he fixed the grain mill too,
So,
and made it better.
More
Yeah,
efficient.
she was telling me some of the things that they's having issues. I said, "If you don't mind, I think I know how to modify this grain mill to make it be more efficient, and we won't lose as much grain on the floor, and won't make a big a mess." So I came home and fixed it, and I went back and put it on, and it worked.
Worked
So,
really well. Never milled grain again. It was all you after that.
anyway, we able to do that. We got probably about once a week on Thursday or Friday. She'd call and say, "Let's do the grain." Then I got to going in the actual brew room and helping her do such as that and putting things together, and really enjoyed doing that. And then she said, would you mind building me some cedar planter boxes that I could put outside? She showed me a picture of them, and she said, "This is what I was wanting, and dimensions and everything, and they're a little bit pricey on this website." And I priced it out and said, "Yeah, I can build you some." And so I
Saved
went
me
and
a
bought the
bunch of
boards and
money.
everything, and
That's when she was having that event too. Is once you got
Yeah,
them built,
so-
she had that beer night of where everybody got to plant.
Come out and
Yeah,
planting.
but
Yeah.
she said, "Can you build me 4 of them?" I said, "Oh, hell yeah, I can build you 4 of them." So we built 4, and I had them done.
I think you did 5.
I was going to say, I think it ended up
It
being
was
5.
5. Yeah.
One
Yeah.
was a little smaller than the others,
Yeah.
so it would fit in that spot.
Yeah, we built 5 of them, and it took me a week or 2, and I said, "I got them ready." And she says, "Oh my God!" And so we brought them there, and they had to, like I said, we got them all set and got them. I went and got the
Heavy
the
suckers.
soil and the compost. I said, I'll get it all mixed, set for you. Then they had like you said, a planter
party, yeah.
Yeah, you went and shopping somewhere and bought a
all
bunch
the
of
flowers
plants
and everything to plant in it.
and it turned out really well. But anyway, we got to do that. And long story short, she's working at the university pretty much full time. She's working full time at the facility at Equity, and she confided into us is it's just getting more than I want to do, and I think I'm going to bow out at doing this. And I said, "Well, you just tell us what we can do in the meantime." She said she had the contract till July or something like that.
My lease.
But this was about
6 months before
6
I
to 8
decided.
months, because we started
Yeah.
chatting about it a little
Yeah.
bit, about 8 months, and then
But you all knew that I was struggling
Yeah,
for a
you were
while
working your ass
because,
off.
because we obviously became
Friends.
and
we developed a
um,
friendship that was
you could see how difficult it was to run the place, largely not by, I would say by myself. I had employees and other help, but no
Go Chef.
partners and yeah.
shout out to
Yeah,
Chef
shout out to Chef and Shelby. Especially.
Shelby,
Yeah, Chef Michael.
Yeah,
and
shout out to
amazing.
Shelby and Michael.
Chef Michael.
So you saw how hard it was to kind of run the whole thing, produce everything, and then, and have to work out in the tap room and just having to cover everything. And also, I had another full-time job.
Right.
And so, I was exhausted. It was an exhausting thing. And so when I was like, do I sign another lease? Do I keep on going? I more or less mentioned to you, I was like, I don't think I can do this anymore. I'm going to
Exactly.
it was right as I was turning 57, and I was like, I think I can't do this until
Yeah.
I'm 60.
That was tough.
So
And this is where it kind of she saw the point that she said, okay, I may have to let some of my staff release them from their employment. So me and Kara sitting there said, well, if you need any help, hey, we got free time. It's summertime, and let us come volunteer work. She said, well, what? I said, I can be the beer guy. I can stock the beer. I load the kegs, and I can clean the glassware. And Kara said, I work concessions all the time. I know how to do the computer stuff. And she said, I can take orders, and I know how to do that.
I had my licensing. I could serve. I could serve.
Yeah, you had
food.
you had your food serving license.
And I had to get my
Got your able license.
Yeah,
my able
Miss
license.
Suzette said she had to get a able license, so she got online.
that out.
She got the able license, and
there we went.
And there
and
we
then,
went.
And then Kara took over the tap room, and Bob took over bar backing, and I had to help chef in the kitchen, and so especially on weekends when we were busy.
And I had Shelby.
You had Shelby, but we had.
And
and then Bob wore a security shirt.
Yeah,
that's what I
found a security shirt, and
I bought me.
So he was
was
bar back /
so
security.
funny.
It was awesome.
Yeah, and
Wasn't it a wedding shower?
no, it was a birthday.
Birthday
it was a
party?
birthday
Was it-
party. Some of your friends was in the other room that one time.
The
Yes.
first time he wore the security shirt.
But he wore the security shirt, and they were like, "Okay, are we in a neighborhood that we're not really sure about? Are we? Why do we have security at this event?" And we were all like, "It's Bob in his security shirt."
Well, and the story on the
You never
security.
know. You never know when you need somebody.
A story on the security shirt. I always wanted a security shirt. It's just one of those things. I get on Amazon like 4 years ago and order it and get it. And Kara said, what in the world are you doing with security?
What the
I said,
hell?
Now I have a security shirt.
Shelby has a security shirt. Does
and
Kara have
I
one?
teach about international security, so it's perfect for me.
Then,
Kara
as
doesn't have a
well.
security.
then
Yeah.
Miss Suzette would ask, said, we're having a special event. You guys mind volunteering? So I'd go in my security shirt, and I think you bought me a security hat.
I did. Yeah.
Kara was the
matching
she had the
security.
able license. She could serve and she could take orders, and I was the security in the bar back and cleaning dishes and making sure we had beer when they needed to change the taps and such as that. But we had a great time and we had a lot of fun. And Miss Suzette says, I can't thank you enough. I can't pay. I said, we don't want you to pay. I told her I started my career on my own 17. I said, if I ever get an opportunity to help somebody that needs help and they can't really pay you back, but all you can do is help, and if they appreciate it, and you know that you appreciate it, that's the best feeling in the world.
I so
Yeah.
appreciated it. Still do. I couldn't have made it through those that last year, really, once Bob started helping in the brewery at first, before you started really
Right.
helping out in the tap room. I couldn't
Guys,
have,
grain
I
is
couldn't have
heavy.
made it. Grain is heavy, very heavy. And, it just, I did do a lot of that myself before Bob and Kara pitched in, and I couldn't have made it through that last many months without them. And I remember specifically, really, the day that you all came in. It was probably a Wednesday evening. I don't remember, but you're sitting at in the tap room, and I'm sitting down chatting with you, and you, Bob, just even kind of got emotional, and you were like, I see you working so hard, and I just want to help you. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't even just like, it wasn't like I went out there and said, hey, can you help me? Mm-hmm. I was running my ass off everywhere all the time, and you all noticed, and you said, let us help you.
And I don't
And
think
so
we
you're
even knew each
just-
other's last names at that point.
I think that's probably true.
I don't,
Yeah.
because I did not know your last name
Yeah, I think
for
that's probably true.
months.
I don't
I
think-
had to finally just ask you.
Yeah.
And it was kind of odd because,
Yeah.
at that point we had been together so much and spent so many hours together
Mm-hmm.
and laughed and cried and done. I mean, it was just, because it was just, I don't know. God is good.
I'm not one to take help. I mean, I don't ask for it, and it's like hard for me to do that. And you all, I knew I needed it, and you all knew I needed it, and you offered it, and then you showed up, and you showed up again and again and again and again, and it was just such a tremendous gift that I can't tell you how much I appreciate
Wow.
that.
Yeah, and
Closing down a brewery was a lot of work, wasn't it?
Yes.
It was,
Yeah,
It
we-
was a
it
lot
was
of
just,
work.
it was a lot of work closing
Yeah,
that thing down.
and
too.
A lot of
it
stuff in
was
there.
a lot of work, and there's a lot of moving, and there's a lot of sweaty people, and
Yes.
but we finally all got together, got it done. Once she made the decision, she's gonna walk away from it, and so she did, and we helped her and got it all sorted out and moved things back and forth and closed it down. It's something that she wanted to try, and I admire the hell out of her for trying it.
Thank
And
you.
it just didn't like she had hoped it would, but you got to admire somebody that tries, and if it fails, it fails. You just hold your head up and go on to the next chapter in your life.
Listen to that one, kids. If you don't try, you don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah,
You got to
and-
give it a shot.
Percent of the shots you never take.
Yep.
Exactly.
Exactly. Good point.
Yeah, and kind of once we got it all said and done, and decided that we wanted to stay together or close together, and we went to a so we went to
Shelby should be here
Not possible. Can't get rid of me now.
next time.
yeah, we get Shelby out here. So anyway, we had a closing out party, a pool party in Edmond area. Afternoon, evening is a great time. Is some of the closest people that she had met, some former employees, and she invited us, and we had a great time and kind of closed it out and on a good note.
That was fun.
It was fun.
And I can't remember at the time. She gave us an envelope, a little card, and we brought it home and read it, and it was, go ahead, Karen.
Well, it was amazing. It very much described the relationship that the three of us have, but it also described the appreciation she had for two people that just walked into her establishment with open hearts and open mind. And, there's things that we believe in, she believes in. There's some things that we don't, but it didn't matter. We're three human beings that have the ultimate respect for each other. And she expressed it in words on a card that hangs on our refrigerator now
Oh,
that we
really?
get to read
Oh,
daily, once a week, whatever. It's there to remind us that there's good people. You have to keep your eyes open.
It's really sweet that you cried when you read it because I cried writing it.
Well,
For
it was-
sure.
Yeah,
You know.
and we have friends that come over, and we wanted them to see you think of us.
You don't have to have the same beliefs to love someone.
No.
You don't have to all.
We have
you know,
way more in common than we don't. I imagine we have plenty of things that we
Mm-hmm.
don't agree on.
but we don't go there.
But we don't bring us together, and that's what we emphasize in our relationship. And it's really special, and it's really important.
That's the one thing I want people to hear out of this entire story
Yeah.
is you can have so many differences that you just that's not what friendship is. Friendship is finding other humans that have the same respect for you as you have for them.
But we're going to kind of wrap this one up, and I want to ask you on there. What I'd like to do, if you have time, we're going to make this part one and do a part two. And I wanted to talk about the steps of we went through and doing the actual brewing. Would
Yeah,
you got time to
absolutely.
do that? Okay.
Yeah, I would love to.
Close this one out. Start a new one here in just a little bit. So yeah, keep on
Please,
listening.
keep on listening.
We're enjoying doing this. This is the fourth one. We're up to surprisingly 13 different countries.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's incredible. All the
It cracks
countries
me
that
up.
we
I tell
talked-
people at work all the time, I'll be sitting there and I'll get a text from Bob. He goes, Japan. It just cracks
That
me
is
up because
really
we're just
wild
such.
that so many people from other countries are listening. That's so great.
Yep.
Italy will join us this
well,
time.
not yet. We got
Italy and Brazil hopefully will
China,
join us.
Switzerland, Yemen, India, United Kingdom, Belgium, Germany, Jamaica, Lebanon, Uganda, Kenya, and picked up Sweden, Canada, and Great Britain last
Wow.
week. So
Welcome, all you international listeners.
I know they listened one. They may not listen again, but most of these has listened 2 or 3 of them, and this is number 4. So still listening. Thank you guys out there.
Yeah, that's
But
sweet.
we're gonna close this one out and do part season 1, episode 5 for the following week. So I hope you enjoyed this, and we're gonna sign off. Thank you.
Bye,
Thank
y'all.
you.